I started when hand milking when I was 6 years old because we didn't have milking machines then. My dad was an original Dairy Gold member over 100 years ago. Well, about 103 years ago, because they just had their 100th anniversary here a while back, and I went to it. In those days, we had 10-gallon milk cans, and we put the milk in there, and the milk truck came around and picked them up. And then later on, they started using milk tanks, and a tanker would come around and pick up the milk. When I was farming, living with my parents, I never went to Bellingham. The only time I went to Bellingham was on a date to go to a movie or something like that. Because if I needed anything in Bellingham, I'd tell my folk because they went every week to do their grocery shopping. Now
And his first vacation was our honeymoon in 12 years.
Yeah,
or
15
or
years.
Something, yes. Mm-hmm.
And of course, I went to Linden quite often because that's where all the farm equipment was, like farmers' equipment and so on.
And by the way, we've been married 55
years.
It'll be 56 in July.
In 2 months, yeah. And she was in Bellingham when we met.
Yeah.
Like I say, I went there every Saturday night. I'd milk a little bit early, so I could get down there and so on. And sometimes, depending on who was there, you could dance every dance, and other times maybe not so many.
Here I am as a city girl, and now I'm on a farm, and we're in the halfway mark, the half mile, and there's a house at each end of the mile, and that's it. That's the only neighbors. I'm Beth Elizabeth Ahrens, and I'm 85 years old.
We live on the Everson Goshen.
We live on the Everson Goshen Road. Yes.
By Fajon Lake.
Yeah.
And I'm Edmund Spencer Ahrens, go by my middle name. And all the men in my family went by our middle names for some reason. I don't know why, but anyway. And I'm 88 and live on the property I was born on, different part of it, but I haven't gotten very far. Only moved once, and I was just around the corner. Yep. One of my neighbors, he had a smaller dairy herd, but he had chickens, and sold eggs, type thing. I had 30 when I quit in 65, and that was fairly typical in those days. There was a few little bigger ones and smaller ones. I would not enjoy dairying today the way it has gone. But in those days, we all worked together. In fact, 5 of us in the neighborhood here owned our silo filling equipment together, like a cooperative. The chopper, the blower, and the 2 wagons. And we worked for each other, filling each other's silos. A lot of people have moved into the area, and we don't know them at all.
And it's
I used to know everybody.
And it's interesting, people nowadays don't socialize as they used to. When we had the honey business and the little shop out in front of the house, there was a lot of bottling that had to be done.
Oh yes.
And labeling and so on. So that's how all 3 of the kids worked and earned some money during summer. Well, all year. Yeah. All year. Yeah.
All 3 of our children have great work ethics. They do whatever it takes to get a job done, and it pays off. Our youngest son now is a contractor back in Missouri. He's booked up for 2 or 3 months because of what he does. The word gets around.
Yeah. The oldest is Kathy, daughter, and she is 50. Anyway, she was born in 66 and 1966. She keeps everybody in line. Let me just put it that way.
Works for REI, the big sporting goods company.
Yeah. And she She's the one in the service center. She's a supervisor now. And then our oldest son is 18 months younger, and he is Phil, and he is incredible. Right now, he and a friend 2 years ago started a company and named it Revalve Solutions, and he is the lab person who is working on a artificial mitral valve to be put in non-invasive, so through the artery. When I was 40 years old, I had just turned 40, that I was diagnosed with MS. And it came and went at intervals for several years. And there was a couple of years when there was nothing wrong. And then I would wake up on a different morning, and one foot would be cold and one foot would be very hot, landing on the bare floor. And I would go, here we go again. And 4 ladies within 1 month who didn't know each other all said, you need to go and talk to Sid Barron. And the first 2 or 3, I said, oh, no way. No way. He's just too big. He started XL Pacific,
big construction company.
Construction, and KLYN radio. The 4th one, I said, you know, Lord, I think you're trying to give me a message.
Somebody's trying to tell me something.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So that's what got me to see Sid.
Yeah.
He had MS. He gave me extremely good counsel. An hour and a half on the first phone call. He helped me more than any doctor.
He was more help than 3 doctors had done in 3 years.
Oh, yeah. And he put me onto Dr. Swank. So I went down and visited. I got an appointment, went down to Portland, got going on the diet, and in 7 years, I was out of the wheelchair and off the cane and back to walking. Through all that, this guy was my big supporter.
Well, Dr. Swank told her when she went down on her first trip, don't expect any results for 5 years. You didn't get this way overnight. Well, she went on the diet, was strict with it, didn't get any worse. She was happy with that. And then down the road, she realized she could do some things she had not been able to do before. And that was what, 6.5 years?
6.5, 7. Mm-hmm.
And from then on, she just improved until she doesn't need a wheelchair anymore.
Through all of this, he never, ever, he never put his foot down and said, you can't drive, you're not able. I drove entirely the whole time because I could lift a leg into the car, you know, and but I couldn't manage the brake pedal. So my left foot did the brake and my right foot did the gas. And that's how I still do. Coupleness. And I like that word.
Yeah, I never heard that before.
A new one. Well, I think I'm the volatile one, and he is the calm one. I can melt down very easily and fly off the handle a little bit more, but you know, you can't have an argument when there's nobody to argue with.
We've never had an argument. We've had our disagreements, but not really an argument like a lot of couples do.
No. At one point, and the kids can attest to this, I got so irritated at him that I threw a fork at him down to the other end of the table.
Yeah.
He ducked.
Yeah. I'm a bit of a workaholic, actually, because that's the way I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I was kids, like I say, I started milking cows by hand when I was 6 years old. My sister and I have a sister 2 years younger than me. We had to work in those days. We had to work in the garden, and it was our job to fill the wood box underneath the kitchen sink for the wood cook stove every night. We had to pack it. My dad would split it, and then we would haul it in. We just learned to work because it was necessary in those days. I said I've had wood heat for 88 years. I split my wood with a maul and a wedge. I don't use one of these hydraulic deals because that's what I grew up with. And so, and I can't do what I used to do, but I'm still very, and I shouldn't have to be working at my age, but due to some bad decisions, like the mortgage type thing, I need to, but I'm thankful I'm able to.
The one thing that I missed was dancing. When I got MS, there was no way, and I can get out on a dance floor now, but nothing that is fast.
Not like we used to when we met.
My feet just don't work.
At the barn dance.
No. I did the emergency pacemaker the end of March, and so I'm 6 weeks into healing, so that's good. So within that 6 weeks, I've had my 2 COVID shots, and so with all the fatigue that goes along with the shots, I'm gradually getting back up onto my feet. And I think attitude plays a huge part.
Oh, yes, yes. God has been very good to us, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
Many blessings, yeah.
Many blessings.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.